Okay, so here's urban vignette dose. Just after I left the parking lot, I encountered a homeless person on the street, which down there at 5th and Mission, isn't that uncommon. It's near a real businessy area of town. It's down where the Moscone Center is, which is usually where I'm working, or some of the theaters. The theater district is a couple of blocks away, and I work there. But I park in the same place all the time, like I said. And so I was walking along, and there was a homeless guy on the sidewalk, and he was just standing there. His shopping cart was kind of blocking a lot of the sidewalk, and he was just standing there, and he was just talking to himself. And none of this is that unusual, but usually they're just kind of panhandling, or I don't know. He was just in the way, He was an element on the sidewalk to be dealt with. And I sized him up as I approached him, and he just had, you could just tell from 20 yards away, his clothes just had that totally unkempt is not a strong enough word. I mean, these were just really screwed up old clothes that were thrown together that you could just tell by looking at him stunk like hell. And he was so weather beaten, you could just tell that, he's been flat out in the elements for years. He was just so weather beaten, and his hair was just so violently matted, and he was just sitting there talking to himself and kind of gesticulating a little bit. And a lot of homeless people, aren't scary. They're just kind of sitting there, and they seem sort of tapped into some rationality, or he just had that wild animal look about him, that feral survivalist that, he just might not react in an understandable way, and that he might just kind of, snap and go off. And so, he had this little menacing air about him, just an air of uncertainty, that could tip towards mayhem, it kind of felt like. And on the other side of him, about as far away as I was, on the other side of him, was a woman pushing a baby cart, and she really looked a little out of character. She was really well dressed. The baby cart was expensive, and she really looked more like she fit in this really lovely little suburban town that I live in, than down there at 5th and Mission. But anyhow, she's approaching him, and you could tell, it was just like with a little bit of concern and consternation, because we were the only people. There weren't a lot of other people right around at that moment. And she just was really a little uneasy about navigating her way around this guy. And she was going to reach him before I did. And she did, and she worked her way around him and got on the other side of him. And as we approached each other, we just made eye contact. And it was just a lot of fun. I just looked at her and said, "Hey, I had your back." And she just smiled, this kind of big smile of relief, and understanding. And the only reason I'm making a video about this, I just get a kick out of that phraseology. I mean, that's something that you see cops, talk about when they're going through a door. They appreciate the partner, who has their back. But it's, and, like in Iraq, service guys that are counting on each other in life and death situations have each other's back. But it's just translated into this easy vernacular. I guess that's what it was. That this lovely suburban house mother, and this kind of normal guy could sort of say, that could come up in a conversation between us. I just get a kick out of that. That it's just, I got your back has just translated into this easy vernacular. But also it was just fun to really, I always enjoy just being a part of maybe making people feel safe and comfortable. It's happened before in like the last 20 years or so, just situations where just by being there, and just by not reacting like I used to when I was in my teens and 20s, which would be, to get in somebody's face and try to act tough and make the situation worse, to just kind of walk up and just talk through the situation with whoever's, being a little out of control or menacing or whatever. That really feels good. So, anyhow, it was just a fun couple of minutes, to encounter the guys at the parking lot, and then to have this little interaction with this mom and this poor homeless guy. As I walked by him, he had sandals on. His feet looked like claws. They were so dirty they were black. His toenails were so long they looked like claws. And I mean, it's just really hard to the tough life that some people have. I'm not getting choked up. A little piece of my honey bread just got lodged in my epiglottis. So